Hello YouTube, Ultra Maximus back again for another toy review. Today I want to talk about the Transformers Generations figure of Cybertronian Soundwave, which in actuality, this is the War for Cybertron Soundwave. I've had this figure for a little bit. I have not gotten a chance to review it yet, so I wanted to take a look at it. Soundwave has been around since G1. He's a fan favorite. He's been through a lot of incarnations. He's been a vehicle. He's been a cassette player. There's been some USB toys produced of him. There's been a jet produced, a Soundwave jet. I remember that one. The animated Soundwave has a kind of a tape deck Scion look going on for him. And you know, he's always been really cool. Of course, the Michael Bay movies, he's a satellite out in space. So he's been in some shape or form or another very cool. He always has a similar look about him, the classic Soundwave look, and he will always be one of the coolest synthesized, voiced robot bad guy around. So let's take a look at the figure. Let's look at the package. I'm going to take a tour of the package and then pull the figure out and take a look at him. Alright, so here we go. We have our Generations Cybertronian Soundwave. Here he is in package. Let's kind of take a close-up of him. Here he is in package. Looking very Soundwave-esque. Cybertronian Soundwave. He is a Decepticon. He is a level 3 Transformer. And of course we have some artwork up here at the top. Looking at the package itself, we've got an embossed Decepticon logo. He is a deluxe class, obviously. And then we have the Decepticon logo on that side. Kind of some cool bubble packaging at the top. We have a picture of Red Alert down here at the bottom, who I think is actually just a repaint of Sunstreaker. I was looking at the Sunstreaker figure today, and I saw the Red Alert at the store, and I'm kind of wondering if it's just a repaint. If you guys know, let me know. And then we have the back of the package here. This is what we look like. Soundwave in his robot and his Cybertronian vehicle mode, which kind of looks like a spider to me. It just kind of reminds me of a tarantula or something with the fangs hanging out in the front. Which really kind of makes me think that this could be a pretty decent repainted Tarantulas. If one wanted to customize the figure, I think it would make a really cool looking little Tarantulas figure. So, looking at the back of the package here, it looks like Soundwave strength is 4, intelligence 9, speed 8, endurance 5, rank of 8, courage of 7, fire blast. I guess that's his weapon rank, right? That's a 9, and his skill is a 9. Now his weapons mount onto the vehicle. And then, this is kind of interesting, his tape deck area does not contain a laser beak. This is probably the first Soundwave toy I've owned, or even really seen, that did not come with a laser beak of some kind, or a buzzsaw. So that's kind of interesting. It's for weapon storage. And then, at the top, it says that Soundwave is one of the most sophisticated electronics and communications experts on Cybertron. His body is heavily armored and shielded to protect the sensitive communications gear hidden within, where he stores every byte of information he collects. He has a living storehouse of secrets. No one trusts him, but everyone understands the data that he holds could destroy them all. So, that's the little bio for Soundwave there. Looks pretty decent. Let's open up the package and take a look at the figure. Alright, so here is Cybertronian Soundwave out of the package. He looks pretty decent as far as figures go. He's kind of light. He's absolutely 100% plastic. Pretty much the general kind of look of the figure. Soundwave, I mean, he's obviously Soundwave. His head just kind of swings back and forth. It's articulated like most other Transformers figures At the joints, the hands really don't move all that much. He stands very well. It's a very solid standing figure. I just want to compare him with some other Soundwave figures. We'll kind of pull them both into perspective here. So here he is standing next to his animated brethren, Soundwave. So that's how, kind of give you a gauge of how large this figure is. Approximately the same size as the animated Soundwave. A lot thinner, nowhere near as bulky. So there he is with him. And then I just wanted to show you him next to the Titanium series Soundwave. So this is what he stands compared to that. So bulk-wise, it's very similar. He's not as tall and absolutely a lot lighter. Now, the one thing I did notice, this gun piece here, this actually retracts up into, it'll actually retract up into the battery piece, very similar to the way that the Titanium Soundwave's gun does. So that was kind of interesting there. I thought that was an interesting comparison. Now, one thing I did notice, two things about the robot I did notice. In order to get this piece open, this has to fold out first. Because otherwise, you can see it open here, otherwise it will not open. So that piece has got to pop out to open up the tape deck. Now, the other thing, flaw, I guess, not really a flaw per se, but on his eyepiece, his visor, I'm going to kind of zoom in here a little bit. You see that it's red. That is painted, okay? Now, if we look at the back of the figure, the light scope, you know how they make the eyes where you can put light through it and the eyes glow now, which is all kind of cool and everything. Well, that plastic is actually, it's kind of hard to see there, but that plastic is actually a purple. And they painted the figure, they painted the eyes on the figure red to match the color scheme that Soundwave is. Instead of putting red plastic in, they just painted over it. So when you put it up into the light, it's really just kind of there. It doesn't really glow much. In fact, on this particular figure, it just shows the thin points in the paint as the light comes through it. So that was, while I like the red, I think they should have just put a red piece of plastic in there. It would have been much cooler. So let's take a look at him in vehicle mode. Okay, now before we actually get into the vehicle mode, there is a screen capture here from the video game, and I think it was in one of the commercials too, maybe, for a Boombox mode for this War for Cybertron and Soundwave. And there is a way to do that in the figure. Let's take a look. Okay, so here's Boombox Mode version 1. Just kind of compare him to Titanium Soundwave in Boombox Mode. There are the two of them together. That's what they kind of look like together. Now let me show you version 2. Okay, so here's Boombox alternate mode 2 for War for Cybertron screenshot capture. I got this from a guy off of YouTube. I think it actually looks more like the game screen capture itself. Now, just to, again, compare him to the Titanium Boombox Soundwave. There they are together. So there are the unofficial alternate modes to make him into the Boombox from the War for Cybertron video game. Again, that's not in the instruction sheets. Let's take a look at the official alternate mode for this toy. Alright, so here's Soundwave in Cybertronian vehicle mode with Ravage from Generation Hound figure. I just thought I'd throw him on there. The kind of compare size in vehicle mode. Yeah, meow, actually, I guess. He's not really a dog. He's a kitty cat. So here's the vehicle. That's what it looks like. Vehicle mode. Kind of looks like a bulldog van to me, with these little pieces kind of sticking up here and some teeth kind of snarling out. Kind of reminds me of a dog. The wheels are interesting. It doesn't really roll all that great because of the plastic wheels. It's an okay looking vehicle. I think it's much better looking in robot mode. Just again, for comparison's sake, here is, back up a little bit, the two vehicles side by side. I actually think I like the animated Soundwave vehicle better than I do the Cybertronian one. Yeah, I think this one just looks a little bit cooler. This one, about the same on this board. It was the plastic, not all that great. And then here he is compared to the titanium Soundwave tape deck on size. Again, he's not that big of a figure. Now, a couple things that I noticed just kind of messing with this. You can push that in, and then you're able to store the weapons again in here. All you have to do is pop them off, and then they just simply slide in the side, right in there, that kind of good stuff. One thing I didn't notice that was kind of fun, if you take this piece up here, again, it's just kind of me being silly, but I kind of like the way it looks. Position it here. Kind of gives it a little dune buggy look. It kind of interesting little canopy up here. Kind of gives it a open canopy feel down there at the top. Convertible, I guess. I don't know. Overall, I would say this is a decent figure. I would not say that this is by far the coolest Soundwave that they've produced by any stretch of the means, but it is a good figure. It is worth the money, and it definitely looks a lot like the video game War for Cybertron Soundwave. Looks just like him. I'm disappointed it did not come with a minion, a little Ravage or a little Laserbeak or something, and it looks a lot cooler in robot mode than it does in vehicle mode. And then just kind of wrap things up. Here's the instruction sheet that it comes with, transformers, and that's what he kind of looks like. And the sheet itself is transformation's not complicated. Of course, most Soundwave figures are not very complicated as far as transformation goes. I think the most complicated Soundwave figure I've ever owned was the Jet Soundwave, the Bomber Soundwave. He was probably the more complex one. Most of them are relatively simple. I would probably compare the transformation from robot to vehicle mode about as complex as the animated figure. So, decent figure, looks good, great G1 color scheme. It's definitely worth the money, and when it goes into my case, it's definitely going in robot mode. I hope you enjoyed this, and have a good one.